All right, so we're back here on another special Couch Coach Live. We're back here at the 2 week break, so we are here. What we got a special guest in the building. What's going on, Jordan?
Not a whole lot. Just happy with the Broncos. We'll get to that here in a little bit.
Yeah, and what's going on, JB?
Not much, man. Not much.
Yeah. And let me bring in Maui in the frame. What's going on, Maui?
It's the superstar. What's good?
What's going on?
I was messing with y'all. What's up, man? What's up, man? That JB got Jordan with the $1 million smile. I ain't forgot about you, man. The Steelers and the Broncos. I have not forgot about them. Just kidding. It's good seeing y'all. And then the most famous dude. I'm not about to let you not. I'm not gonna do it, bro. I am extremely proud of you. Been bragging all day. I got free donuts and everything. Man, I'm proud of you, though. That's what's up,
Thanks,
bro.
man. Yeah, it was just a business trip. I went, hey, just took care of business. It was a business trip and took care of business. That's all.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a great show lined up for you. And it's funny because I think a couple weeks ago we pretty much put a bow on the season. We figured, hey, we was gonna get maybe like a week to kind of like just chill, not to chill, but more so of it was like somewhat of a grace period. We was gonna probably transition to college basketball, but no, we got a lot of jam-packed NFL stuff this week. Obviously, we had essentially a March quarterback madness. As far as we'll talk about Russell Wilson. Also Carson Wentz going to DC, Aaron Rodgers staying put, Calvin Ridley, and then in another historic, I think in the 7 years of having the show, we've never had a Russell Westbrook and a Russell Wilson story in the same week. Normally we get those two confused, but now we actually got a Russell Wilson and a Russell Westbrook story. So we got a great show lined up for you. So what we're gonna do now? We're gonna kick our intro, and we'll be right back. We're back here on Couch Coach Live. We're powered this week by the good folks at Goalie. Head over to Goalie. Use my promo code Couch Coach. Get yourself 10% off. So, I didn't think we were going to lead off the show with this. But Carson Wentz is headed to DC, as we could call him, Commander Carson. We'll let don't laugh, Dave. Hey. Don't laugh. Okay. Look, I'm about to be like Russell Westbrook. Don't laugh at me.
I'm sorry, so I'm gonna even go there. We gonna hold that. I'm gonna hold that.
But, yeah, we got. I don't know if you want to say it tragic or you want to just say it just the. Okay, in other words, Carson Wentz was traded to the Washington Commanders. In that trade, pretty much the Indianapolis Colts will receive they'll have a second round swaps this year, a 2023 third round pick, but if Carson Wentz does play 70% of the snaps, it'll be upgraded to a second round pick. And then obviously Washington gets to pay Carson Wentz his healthy $28 million contract. Indianapolis off the hook of that. And then also we swapped second round picks. Jordan, I'm gonna go with you first. Your thoughts on Commander Carson?
I honestly do not understand the trade from the Washington standpoint. Because you have Tyler Heineke, and honestly, Carson Wentz and Tyler Heineke, they're about the same quarterback. I don't understand why you would do that. Plus, he was going to get cut anyway. They could have taken a cap hit. That is, the Colts could have taken about a $15 million cap hit. They should have just done that. And maybe you could have gotten him for cheaper. But no, Washington decided to Washington and get that quarterback. Yeah, you need an upgraded quarterback in terms of behind Tyler Heineke, but I'm not sure that was the right upgrade.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you next, JB. What's your thoughts?
I mean, over the weekend I suffered, a really heartbreaking loss. Your scumbag Tar Heels beat Duke the last game of the season. But you know what? After today, I feel really good, man. Like, it doesn't even bother me anymore. Like, Dallas gets to go against Carson Wentz twice a year, man. That's like a win. I mean, I'm loving the deal from a Dallas perspective. Here's my thing, Chris. You're the Washington fan. What the hell is your front office doing? Like Carson Wentz is a minor upgrade from Heineke, and I think Carson Wentz does a better job of like protecting the football. But Carson Wentz has some like WTF moments, like that game against Tennessee earlier this year where he threw the interception in the end zone with the one hand. He does crap like that all the time. It's like he has really lousy awareness of like who he is and what his abilities are. I don't see how this like actually moves the needle for Washington at all. I think that Washington probably is looking at another like kind of sort of mediocre year. And I think that what we've seen from Carson Wentz the last, this will be the 6 years, because like 18, 19, 20, 21, 20. This will be the last 4 years after he tore his ACL. He's looked very mediocre. I mean, you look at it, he was having that MVP year, he tore his ACL, and he hasn't looked the same since then. And I actually, going back to the preseason on the podcast when we were doing the AFC South preview, I actually thought Frank Reich could fix him. He's broken. I think that the Carson Wentz that we've gotten the last 4 years is the actual Carson Wentz. And I don't think that makes Washington a better football team at all. So.
What you got, Maui?
Well, I'm always on your side. Do you think they did this because they didn't get Russ?
I mean,
or did they try to get Russ?
I think the sweepstakes, I guess, Aaron Rodgers and Russ, but there's other options too. But Jimmy. I mean, but like if that was the case, like couldn't they have gotten Jimmy G? Jimmy G is better than what Carson Wentz has done. I mean, when Jimmy G is healthy, he's winning like 70% of his games. Yeah. I mean, that's other quarterbacks. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, there are other quarterbacks available. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Maui. I think that was kind of like a panic move after what happened with Russ and then with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was actually just like, it was a pipe dream. That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. So I like Heineke. I don't think it's too many quarterbacks that has his heart, his drive. I like Heineke. You know what I'm saying? Some people may feel like he may not be a starter quarterback, but I like him. I think he gives y'all character. You know what I mean? If they just maybe they build around him, I like him. I'm sorry, I like him. You know what I mean? I'll take him. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'll take him with my squad better than what we got. You know what I mean?
But Maui, let me just throw this out there though. Like I get what you're saying. He has the intangibles.
Yeah.
He has some. But he's got a weak arm, man. The thing is, the issue with him, man, is that like if there are throws he can't make, and he's got a lot of Brett Favre in him, and he doesn't have the Brett Favre arm. That's the issue.
JB, I'm with you with all that. I'm just saying, I like him. You know what I'm saying? I like him. I like him more than Wentz, but at the same time, I could be like, I know there's other options. I can say, hey, why not get Wentz because of his experience and where he's been. But I don't know. I was a little shocked. I don't know. I don't know, Chris. I guess, coaches, basically what you think, because I know last year, you know what I'm saying, we was talking about Fitzpatrick and you was cabbage patching and doing the Roger Rabbit and Bartman and all the mojo. You was like, we tried to explain to you, like, man, I don't think that's it.
Well,
But how do you feel about this?
It's almost like I feel like it's deja vu. This reminds me of 2010 when we got Donovan McNabb. This reminds me of even last year where you got a guy that these are like, it's like a patchwork thing, which at least with Fitzpatrick, it was only $10 million.
Oh, okay.
$28 million when you only got like 30 plus in the cap. So you're basically that's your free agent move, especially for a guy like we talked about at Jordan before we went on air. Everybody and their mother, all of our mothers know, hey, Carson Wentz was going to get released next week. So why would you trade for him? And also those assets, even though people may say all them second, third don't matter, but they do matter for a team like Washington that needs talent to fill those voids.
Yeah.
Those second, third round picks down the line could be potential starters or could be potential that. And then the fact that you got a lame duck quarterback and you're gonna be on the hook for $28.5 million of his salary. Like, now, like we talked about Jordan earlier. Now, if we were just a quarterback away, and that was the only thing that we needed, I can live with that. But you have so much stuff going on. There would have been a lot cheaper options. I mean, even to a point, I was even like, I'd be cool with getting Mitchell Trubisky. Like at this point, like as far as something, it needed to be significantly cheaper. I mean, considering the fact, we'll be talking about Aaron Rodgers, who's getting 50. Imagine he's getting almost half of what Aaron Rodgers is getting. He's a 2-time MVP compared to a Carson Wentz who, last year he stayed healthy, but who's to say what's going to happen this year? And it sounds like it could be a situation just like Ryan Fitzpatrick, where I ain't gonna be surprised if he hold up for the rest of the season. And then what you gonna do that $20 million? So it's just like, you know what? Suck for Bryce at this point. Yeah. At this point. Yeah. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
How many years is it?
Well, it's I think it has a 3-year deal, but we're only on the hook for 1 year.
1 year,
guaranteed. Okay. So we can cut bait with him next year, but still, they pay him for 1 year for $28 million is just no.
And Maui, just back on Heineke, I think that Heineke fits maybe a bit better in Pittsburgh than he does in Washington, because I think Pittsburgh has a better defense and he could be more of a game manager. I think with Washington, like, you need a quarterback that actually can, go out and make plays, and Heineke's really not like that per se. So I get what you're saying, because I would actually like Heineke like more in Pittsburgh than I would in Washington. So
what I noticed from watching, like, just watching stuff, how the team, because it's really somewhat of a young team, they respecting, they love Heineke. Like, he gets them fired up. You know what I mean? That's why I said I like it. Sometimes, if you could just get people just to play their position and do what they do, wonderful things could happen, So that's why I said that. But listen to more. I guess I still don't understand what they got.
Oh no, I don't understand what
we all in agreement with
that. I don't understand why they got Wentz either, and I think that even like somebody like Hundley from the Ravens, he's a free agent, I believe. Him or if you just want to do like a bridge year, like Hundley or Trubisky make more sense. Like, even going out and like, you could have gotten Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, like, he's a better option than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is just he's broken, man. He's broken.
Right, and that's what we thought Indianapolis was going to be his saving grace, like you said. Offers Frank Wright, we figured, hey, if he can, and even when they were talking last week at the combine, they were like, we ain't committed to him, and that's another thing too, where it's just like they even gave you context clues to say, hey, I don't, they was, and then to a point they weren't vague. They were honest in their critique of him. So, like, why would you like trade for him and you already know they not really certain on him? So it's just like, that's the thing that really baffles me about all of this. Now, I think if Carson Wentz would have got released and then maybe pay him, 10, 15 million, then I'll be okay with that. That's just, hey, that's cool. But 28 and you only got like 30 something million in cap. Like, so in other words, you can really just throw all the free agencies out the trash at this point. Any of your contingency plan out the way. And you got it all showed up on a quarterback that may not even last the whole entire year.
And you lost draft picks too. And like you mentioned, man, when you're looking to add talent, man, you want the draft picks, man. You don't want to lose the draft picks. And I think Indy comes out smelling like a rose. They got off of Carson Wentz. I honestly think that maybe Indy tries to go out and they maybe try to acquire Jimmy G now. So it's unfortunate for So.
And no cap hit.
No.
Don't even give me. They don't even got a cap hit. Like,
yeah.
And if you look at Indianapolis, I think they have like $69 million under the cap that they can spend. So they can go out and maybe even make another trade for a veteran, like you guys were saying with Jimmy Garoppolo, or they could go out and, I've heard Matt Ryan in one of the groups I was in, maybe Matt Ryan. But the point is they have the money to spend to get a veteran quarterback. Right now they have 2 on their team. And I was researching, and the 2 quarterbacks they have right now have played the same amount of NFL games that all of us have played, 0. So they're going to upgrade there, whether that's through a trade, through free agency, who knows. But the point of the matter is they have $69 million to spend.
Yeah.
Not fail. But so the highs and the lows of the show. So obviously we went to the very, very low. To the high, Jordan, Merry Christmas.
It was.
It was like I told you yesterday. I hit you up and say, "Hey, Merry Christmas."
Yeah, it was funny when you said that. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then I saw the news. I'm like, "Oh, okay." I just started jumping up and down. And the thing about it is if you look at the Broncos, since we've won Super Bowl 50 in the 2015 season with Peyton Manning, we've gone through so many quarterbacks: Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, bust; Brock Osweiler, Case Keenum for a year. Joe Flacco, another veteran quarterback who was a bust. Drew Lock, Brandon Allen, Jeff Driscoll, Teddy Bridgewater. It's just, we had no plan A or B, C, D, E, F, G. But now that we have Russell Wilson, we have that franchise quarterback. I understand we gave a lot in terms of draft picks, but to get a Russell Wilson, that's what you have to do. Plus, the only guy that I was kind of sad to leave in terms of the trade was Shelby Harris. He was a great defensive lineman who pretty much just batted the ball down. That was his job. And then Drew Lock never developed. Noah Fant, okay tight end, but he disappeared, and we already have another tight end that we can use. So I'm ecstatic with Russell Wilson.
Yeah. We'll go with you first, Maui. What's your thoughts?
I mean, shout out to Russ, man. He got what he wanted. You know what I mean? I was thinking today, what was I going to say? And I didn't know Jordan was going to be. And I was like, I respect him because he told them, this is what I want. This is what I need. And then you and JB basically explained to me, they always did well in the beginning of the season. And then they start drowning. And I had never noticed that. You know what I mean? So last season, it was horrible. You know what I mean? It's bad, man. So, and then shout out to him. And then, no offense, last 2 Super Bowls, I've seen Sierra sitting by Roger Goodell, letting him know, look, I don't need to be rude. But she right there in his ear, we need to make some moves because my baby out there getting hit and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So, man, shout out to Russ, man. It's going to be interesting, man, to see how he's going to do. I hope that, what's funny, man? We all sitting here thinking about, he's a great quarterback and blah, blah, blah. But I'm hoping he do well, because what if he get there and he's not the same Russell Wilson? Maybe it wasn't just his line.
Yeah.
JB?
No, that's something that I was thinking about too. He's taken an accumulation of just a lot of hits over the last 3-4 years, him getting sacked. He was averaging getting sacked the last 3 years, I think 45, 46 times a year. So, then last year he got hurt. So, you just hope that he can stay healthy and he doesn't start breaking up. But I'm not really that upset that the Broncos gave. So, here's the thing with the draft picks. You got to look at it from this perspective. What team are you giving the draft picks to? So, if you are giving a bunch of draft picks to Indianapolis, then I would probably be saying, oh man, this might be, am I behind in a few years? But let's just be honest, man. Since 2015, the Seahawks have not done a good job of drafting. They have done a fairly poor job of drafting, and this is part of the reason why Seattle has not really approach the levels they were during Russell's like first few years as a starter, because they just drafted poorly. I think one of the worst things that they did actually was to trading Max Unger to the Saints for Jimmy Graham, and that was like the end of Seattle's line right there. So Seattle got draft picks, but I mean, just because you get draft picks doesn't mean that you're going to draft well. I really like the Broncos, man. Like, they had a really good defense. They have, some good skill position players too, with the receivers and the running backs and the tight ends, and they have a fairly good offensive line too. They were just missing a quarterback, and I mean, Russ is good, man. Like, he's clearly, Denver went from being the worst team in the division when it came to quarterback to now, depending on what Russ we're getting, he's the second best quarterback in the division, depending on what we get. You would have to say Mahomes is number one. And Herbert's no slouch either. I think that Vegas, when it comes to this trade, Vegas is probably the biggest loser, because they have the worst quarterback in the division now. And I don't think Carr is garbage by any means, but I mean, you look at the division, you got Mahomes, you got Russell Wilson, who's put up MVP-like numbers, and then you also have Justin Herbert, who, man, that division's tough, man. It's tough, man. We might see two wild cards come out of the division next year, actually.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. And this is and I forgot to preface to intro the topic, but yeah, Russell Wilson, the two-time Richmond Time-Dispatch Player of the Year. I always got to talk about Russ like that. So, I think this is very.
Where are you from?
He's from Tuckahoe, Virginia.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
A suburb outside of Richmond, Virginia. But anyway, I think it's a solid move. Like we always talk about it, Jordan, especially throughout the whole NFL season, how we always look at y'all as the Washington football team in the West, and jokingly. And I just think that it's a good, like you said, you have to be competitive in that division, because obviously you got to play Patrick Mahomes twice, you got to play Justin Herbert twice, so you got to have that quarterback, in place for that situation. Like we said, we always say like Denver, probably more so than any team, was a quarterback away. Like we always talked about as far as their position groups. Obviously, the wide receiver position, Jerry Jeudy, Sutton, I think they're going to be solid. And then, obviously the running game is always going to be solid with my nephew, Javonte. I'm going to take flight next year. Get it right. So, that, and just simple fact, like you said, at the draft picks, this case is different. This one's a little bit different. And like you said, this where you'll get those dividends early with a guy like a Russell Wilson. Because if you look at what he can do with a Seattle team post LOB, no telling what he can do for a team like Denver, who pretty much has just about everything that he needs as far as from an offensive and a defensive standpoint. So I think this is definitely a solid move for them. And like you said, I'm just looking forward to those, Patrick Mahomes versus Russell Wilson matchups twice a year, Justin Herbert twice a year. And now, he's now part of AFC. So, those bevy of quarterbacks, who he'll go against. He'll go against Josh Allen, potentially. So like you said, and like JB's point, where it might be three teams that's going to make the playoffs in this division. It's almost like the reversal when we talked about the NFC West. The AFC West is going to be like that for certain.
And I will say this: I've been sick and tired of the quarterback competition since the last couple of years, and finally, I don't have to hear Drew Lock is doing this over Teddy Bridgewater. Or Drew Lock is looking sharper than this player. I don't have to hear that anymore. Now we have our number one guy. But we do need another backup, since Russell Wilson right now is the only quarterback on our roster. But at least we can go into the draft and draft one. I think we have a second round pick. Not sure exactly which number it is, because we gave them a second round. But we can go into the draft looking for a young quarterback to be the next guy, or we can go out in free agency and get a cheap guy whoever that is, but I'm just glad I don't have to hear about quarterback competition anymore. We finally have the franchise, but JB's definitely right. Are we going to get the Russell Wilson that took Seattle to the Super Bowl, or are we going to get the Russell Wilson for the last few years? I just know he's in a better situation in Denver than he was in Seattle.
Well, let me tell you, Jordan, it hurts because I got a Russ and hasn't been good. But we're going to talk about that later.
So, fellas, we got to talk about the biggest domino. I think we all, going into the, post Super Bowl, we're looking at, hey, this guy might be available. Hey, let's kick the tires and see if he can, if he wants some interest, especially with the Hackett move on your end, with Nathaniel Hackett being your head coach. We all was like, all signs pointing to Denver, but Aaron Rodgers did stay put. He is signed for a 4-year, $200 million contract, and $153 million of it is guaranteed. JB, our class of 2002 brethren, Aaron Rodgers is the highest paid player in NFL history. So actually, I'm going to go with you first, JB. Your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers getting that 4-year extension?
I mean, at what cost, man? That's the question I have, man. Like, I think that you look at them signing him, and then with them tagging Devontae Adams, man, they're not going to have much cap room to like make that team any better or whatever. And I think the biggest issue with them last year was special teams, but it's just crazy how the complexion of your team can change from one season to the next. So like you figured the last 2 years, they were really close. They might not be this close this year around. I do think that they're going to have better special teams this year, but at what cost? I mean, like, you can't get all this money and expect for your team to be good at the end of the day, man. There have to be some sacrifices that are made. And I mean, he obviously didn't want to make any sacrifices. So, I mean, I'm not mad at him, man. He got his money. He's happy. And I think I don't foresee a Lombardi in his future. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, when he's walking around, the Packers facility, he'll see Vince Lombardi. But I mean, he's not going. I don't think he'll be getting a Lombardi trophy anytime soon. That's just how I feel about this.
What you got, Matt? What are your thoughts?
I don't think he cares about that. I think he got everything he wanted. He got his championship a while back. He has a weak ass division. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's true.
And he got his MVP, which he got it this year, right?
Yeah.
Back to back.
It should have been time. But as we speak, there was a market for quarterbacks. You know what I mean? And Green Bay had to make a decision, and they basically gave in. I'm gonna tell you, from having Ben Roethlisberger as my quarterback, as long as we've had him, and to me, it messed up the Steelers. Even though he did well for a while, but they had quarterbacks that's supposed to come after him. I'm sitting here like they going to the what are they going to do now? They saying they go into the draft or they're going to do this, but we need somebody to come in there now and because Mike Tomlin has always at least made it to the playoffs. He's never had a losing season. So now you better have a quarterback that nobody know. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if I would have done that with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, learn from your mistakes. I mean, how did Aaron Rodgers get that position in the first place? They said Brett Favre, we're picking him. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, this dude just run MVP and it's a market for him. So, everybody want him, so you better do something. He wasn't happy. And so we got Adams. That's his favorite. And it's going to be the same thing like it's been. He going to make that face, and then he going to get dominated in the playoffs like he's been, you know what I mean? And for real, that's going to be the same thing. And he's going to be like, okay, cool. Ain't the Bucks playing?
But Mauro, I feel what you're saying, man. But like, it's like he's giving conflicting information. At one side, he's like, "Oh, I want to win again. I want to win again." Well, if you want to win again, you're 38 years old. Why do you need to break the bank? Like that's what. And I'm not mad at him. I think that you're a professional athlete. You're a professional athlete. You are supposed to make as much money as you are possible. But it's kind of like you have to understand that like you taking that much money Like his line has been pretty good. His line might fall off a cliff, but you make a good point though. The division is weak, man.
But
I can't see anybody really challenging them next year. I might be wrong, but
I'm gonna keep it short, Jordan. But think about it. The blueprint is Tom. Did Tom break the bank when he went and played for the Buccaneers, or did he just get what he could get and then he made sure he had it because he wanted to win? He wanted to win. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that came there was a veteran that was even retired or whatever. They wanted to win, so they took like a pay cut until they won the Super Bowl. They was like, "You got to pay us something." You know what I mean? I mean, come on, man. Y'all know that. Y'all know they ain't winning. Like we know. They know. Like shit. I think we done made a mistake. But go ahead, though. My bad,
Jordan.
Oh, you're good. But the thing about it is there were reports that, you know, he had deals in place with the Broncos. I think the Titans were in there. He was just using us as leverage. There was no chance of him coming to Denver. He just used it as leverage, and he knew that he had other offers if he wanted to, and he didn't want to leave. Why? Because he got paid. It's pretty simple. He got the money. Whether or not he's going to win a ring, who knows? I don't see it either. But like you guys been saying, he's in a really weak division. He owns the Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions. I mean, they're going to go to the playoffs. Don't see him going very far because what money do they have to spend to help the defense? Because we know defenses win championships, and the special teams, like we've been saying.
Yeah, and they had to cut Zadarius Smith actually, so that's going to hurt them as well. So, yeah,
exactly.
And the thing that gets me is this whole thing of, you know, people in you know, obviously, you know, his camp pretty much saying that it's going to be like a cap friendly, and I'm like, how can $153 million of guaranteed money be cap friendly and for 4 years? So like part of me is like, I don't understand it. Maybe if it was maybe $100 million guaranteed, where at least 50 or whatever. But I'm just thinking to myself, like you said, you're really putting your chips on display, and that just let me know that Jordan Love is done. Like that pretty much was a nail in his coffin at this point as far as this organization. So to me, it's just, and then it's just, to me, it's like, what are they going to do with him? And then you think to yourself, you really lost a first round draft pick, essentially, by this, because you think to yourself, he's not, and then who's really going to get, who's actually going to get, you know, going to want him? Because even in the brief, you know, that we've seen him, he really hasn't done anything. And then I think Green Bay's going to probably have to move on and maybe get a veteran quarterback, almost somebody that's in. Well, it's fun to say they would need like a veteran backup, but I think they would need like a veteran backup, potentially, like if something was to happen to Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, like you said, this is just there. You know, it's just interesting how all this happened. We went from thinking that this team was going to just rebuild, almost a la like a Seattle potentially, but now it's to a point where they really like put all their chips in Aaron Rodgers for 4 years. Which, I mean, hey, like I said, I don't necessarily think that this is going to work, because is their window, like JB said, is their window for most teams. If you've made it to this level, the window will be closing for you. And especially now when you look at, like you said, there's going to be some sacrifice going to have to be made on this roster going forward too. So, you know, I don't think, you know, they're not going to have enough room to kind of improve themselves. Like you said, invest in certain things they need, especially like the special teams, because they're going to be, you know, they're going to be up against the cap. So it's just one of the things, hey, you know, I guess you just want Aaron Rodgers potentially for, you know, you want to keep him for the remainder of his career in Green Bay. But I don't, like you said, I don't think this might have been the best move for them as well too, because you know, this team, like you said, it's a lot of other teams that's going to be in the NFC that's going to contend, and it's going to be definitely an issue. But yeah, it's just. Yeah, Green Bay. So now, you know, we talked about Green Bay. Let's talk about Calvin Ridley and put your money where your mouth is. All right. Okay. Kenneth, I am alive and well. Okay, thanks for checking. So Calvin Ridley. So we all know that Calvin Ridley on Halloween pretty much said, "Hey, I need to take some time off from football, non-football related injury." So he was placed on a list in October on Halloween, right when the team came back from London or wherever they was there. So there was developments that happened. That Calvin Ridley was betting on games in November prior to the Thanksgiving week, where he was betting 3 8-team parlays, including some Atlanta Falcons action and those bets as well. And how he really got found out is, hey, through the bet app, through NFL has a compliance company that goes through and do those checks. He did this in Florida. And so that's how he essentially got caught. He made the bets while he was in Florida, because obviously at that time, I think the app that he was on, that was the only legal app in the state of Florida at that particular time. So he, according to him, so he bet, they say he claimed on his Twitter that he bet $1,500 combined of that. But then also he did other bets of other leagues, which he is allowed to do other leagues, but he just cannot bet on NFL games. So he has been suspended for a year. He has an option of appealing, and he can be reinstated as early as February 15th of 2023. So, fellas, I'm gonna go around the horn. I'm gonna go with you first, Jordan. Your thoughts on this Calvin Ridley suspension?
You look at it, and my question is, what were you doing? You were trying to take a mental health break, but yet you're betting on football. And on your own team. I think he won a couple of, I don't remember the amount, but he bet that his quarterback, Matt Ryan, would get set, won a little bit of money there. I just know, and we've all known, that gambling is huge now in the NFL, especially with FanDuel and all the other apps you can do it on. But my question is, what were you doing? You knew you couldn't be on this, but I have to imagine he's not the only one. There's got to be other NFL players, and I don't know how far this goes. Could it be NFL refs who are also saying to a bookie, hey, can you put this much money on this NFL game? There's got to be a more can of words than just Ridley. So I think they're just trying to set an example with him.
Yeah. I'm going to you next, JB. What you got?
Oh, well, I mean, my thing is, this is like, how far does this go back? Did he just do it one time? Has he been doing this before? Is he using pseudonyms when he's betting? I'm just thinking about this because, like you mentioned, he took the mental health break. And then he gambles during his time. Did he take the mental health break because he had a gambling addiction and then he relapsed during the mental health break? There are a lot of questions I have about this that I think probably are never going to be answered. But I think he definitely is not the only player who's gambling on football. He's not the only player in the NFL that's gambling on football. He got caught. Are there executives who are gambling on games? Are referees gambling on games? I mean, like, I have a lot of questions, man.
Yeah. I mean, oh, my bad, Chris. but yeah, man, you know, for me, he got caught. And regardless, you know, players just got to be a little more like, even when they start legalizing, I'm not a gambler. People around me are gamblers. And sometimes I watch stuff, and it's just seemed like everything is based upon what's going on in Vegas. You know what I mean? And for me, he got caught. And I'm hoping that he just do everything he need to do. You know what I'm saying? Put on the face he need to put on, and hopefully get reinstated. You know what I mean? That's all you can really. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, everybody got to be everybody got to be a fall guy sometimes. You know what I mean? I hope that he sends a fruit basket and you know what I mean, help, you know, take my Ryan out for a petty or something, because, you know, you know what I mean? Like, you bet on me for real, you know, but, you know, he got caught, man. It sucks. And they put it out there. So I'm sure everybody about to be on their P's and Q's about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like I said, it's a $1,500 bet for almost $11 million a year. You lose $11 million on a $1,500 bet. And talk about somebody I don't have a gambling problem. That kind of sounds like you do. I mean, in all seriousness, and like you said, I think there's smoke. There's more smoke. There's where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right.
And like you said, I think they really have to come down on this real heavily because of the simple fact of the integrity of the NFL. Because they're in bed with these companies, and if people already look at this as this league is being rigged on so many different levels when it comes to certain things. So you already adding fuel to that fire already. And then if you lose that kind of money, then that's gonna affect the bottom line of the league. Because especially if you do this, it's gonna affect your bottom line because NFL players and NFL guys, they get cuts off of this revenue from these companies, and it's to a point where it's going to expand even more to a point where we're going to have sports books in stadiums, so very, very soon. So it's going to expand even more, much less just the phone aspect or just the sports book alone, the brick and mortar sports books, ain't going to be in stadiums. It probably. In most stadiums, probably I would say in the next few years or so. Especially, I think the ones who are going to be newly built are going to probably have those. I know, when we move, I know that was one of the kind of things I think that they want to institute. But and I know people, and the biggest argument, Jordan, we in one of the group chats and people saying, well, Ray Rice, all these other people, they got certain time. Well, not Ray Rice, but other guys, they don't care about domestic violence. And that's one thing too. I want to kind of address that as well too, because honestly, I've never really people fail to realize that the NFL, and I hate to say it like this, I don't necessarily think they take the moral ground. They look at the bottom line. So to me, they look at a situation like this where, hey, if we got a guy that's betting on games, that's going to hurt the integrity of our billion-dollar enterprise. So they're going to take this serious. And like you said, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that Calvin really won't ban. Honestly, because of just the simple fact of just the seriousness of this. Because, like you said, if we get to a point, because you think about it, we just know it's Calvin Ridley, like you said, like what JB and Jordan was saying as well. Executives, refs, and other people who actually other people that can affect the game could potentially be in this as well. So that's why it's like the hammer has to kind of come down in that sense because of that. Because like I said, if it's a ref, think about, like you said, if you have a ref and a point spread is like 6 or whatever or something, that can affect all that type of stuff. You can call somebody on a BS call that get them out of field goal range, so it won't be, or whatever. So I mean, those type of things can happen. So they definitely need to get a hold of that, and I think they will be because if people start noticing, these guys are betting on games, they can kiss those fan duels and all them goodbye. They're not gonna be in bed with them no more.
Well, I think that they could have made this bigger, but it's probably a conversation they had with him or whoever represented him. And that's one thing I noticed about the NFL. Like sometimes people, even if they want to fight it and blah blah blah, they kind of let it quiet down a few days. Conversations happen, and then they move forward. You know what I mean? And then sometimes you don't even like, damn, I wonder what happened to Calvin. You know what I mean? You look. And they done switch some stuff around. He's still out. You know what I mean? Then he come back, and then a year or two later, they don't even bring it up. Really, you know what I mean? The NFL usually take care of their stuff, man. You know what I mean?
You know what happened to Calvin? Calvin got a job.
Calvin got a
job.
I'm proud of him. Let's rob his ass.
Oh, Miss Harvey.
Yeah. Too much Whack Arnold's.
Whack Arnold's is tearing his family apart.
Yeah. Hey, Calvin, it's a thin line between fries and shakes.
That'd be the meanest work in the world. If you could get that way. Oh my God. Yo, it's a forever classic. Who ever thought like something that happened like almost like 20 years ago? You can remember that line by line. I don't care.
I know.
The Chappelle show is goated. I don't care what nobody say.
Oh my God, they're horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Great segue. So let's talk about Russell Westbrook. And I
Oh
got
my
it right,
God.
because normally I always say Russell Wilson, but I'm proud of myself for that. So there's a lot of stuff been going on. Obviously, the back and forth between Russell Wilson, Russell Westbrook. See, there I go. I jinxed myself. Russell Westbrook and wife versus Skip Bayless. Obviously, they went kind of back and forth, and she got blocked. Skip Bayless blocked her. So and all that, and then one of the interesting topics I wanted to talk about was obviously, as you know, Maui guys lost San Antonio on Monday. The press conference. And pretty much how Russell Westbrook, pretty much, we all know that his nickname is Russell Westbrook Brick. So he pretty much said, "Hey, I'm tired of everybody calling me that, and I would appreciate that no one will say that because that's disrespectful to me and my family." So, Jordan, your thoughts on the Westbrook moniker?
Honestly, if this is what he's worried about, worry about your game. You're talking about a nickname that honestly has nothing to do with the game of basketball, except for if you're having this really distract you, then you're kind of soft. Although we know Westbrook is already soft because he's shown that. But you look at it and he's a talented player, but you got to not let this go to your head. Yes, it's on social media. Yes, it's in the media. Maybe you stop reading and writing about reading and watching stuff on it. You just got to be a little bit more, not soft. You got to be ignore it. I mean, I have to wonder how much this is really affecting his game, though. If he's really being bothered by this, it makes me wonder just because of how bad the Lakers are playing. But in general, just ignore it. That's what he should have done. I understand it's affecting your family. It's on, the media shows. If you hadn't said anything, nothing would have happened.
I'm ready to say that. Yep. What you got, JB?
He's having a meltdown, man. It's pretty clear that he's having a meltdown, and like this is what me and my dad talked about this the other day. You look at the name that he got upset about. Westbrook is PG compared to some of the stuff that other fans say to players, whatever. Like, come on, man. Like, look, man. People have been calling LeBron James LeBum James since 2005 or whatever. You don't see him getting into it with fans and stuff like that, man. Like, here's the bottom line, man. Westbrook is having a meltdown because he's not playing well this year. And this is what happens when you're not playing well. You let other things by other people affect you more. If Westbrook was having a good season, he was playing well, and the Lakers were winning, he wouldn't have gotten into it with the fan or whatever. But like, my thing is, man, like, get out of here, man. Like, I've seen people say worse stuff about LeBron. LeBron doesn't go on a tangent about it, like, oh, well, my son is really proud of his name. He writes his name everywhere, and people are going to start respecting my name. Now, here's the thing, too. You're a resident Lakers guy. How many more games do the Lakers have left? They have 19 games left, maybe?
Yeah, like 19 or every, like.
And if
19.
I'm not mistaken, I think 13 of the last 19 games are on the road. So you basically have set yourself up. So what do you think the average fan is going to do? They saw the press conference. It's been playing on SportsCenter for like the last 2 days. Do you think fans can be like, you know what? It's really not nice for us to call us Westbrook. We're going to call him Westbrook. Hey, Westbrook, you suck. No, they're going to keep on calling you Westbrook. And guess what? A fan is probably going to come up with something even more creative or whatever. Like, it's just the stuff that's going on. And then his wife is getting into it. When your wife is like getting into what people on social media, like, that's one thing I like about Savannah, man. Savannah is quiet. She don't say anything. Like,
you mess with her kids.
Oh yeah, now
kids.
yeah, and I'll say that. So here's my thing. I think as if people were saying foul stuff about his kids at the game, I would have an issue with that. But that fan in San Antonio said Westbrook, man, you see fans say really bad stuff or whatever. If you're talking about a person's like family, like their kids or their wife, I understand you getting angry about that because I think that's crossing the line. But Westbrook, come on, man, dude, the dude is just having a meltdown or whatever. He's always been very combative anyway with fans, and he's been very combative with the media. And just here's my thing, man, like, this couldn't happen to a nicer guy. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right.
She got mouth.
Well, I got in. Me and my dad have had a little tension. You know, he doesn't like Frank Vogel. I like Frank Vogel.
Me too.
Right? And he said, so you feel like this whole season is Russell Westbrook's fault? And I said yes. I know it's not all his, but I say yes because. And Chris, you know that when we was on the road, you can have people who has a personality like Westbrook. You'll let them think they lead, right? But sometimes they do, and then people take on his personality, right? And then you have people who keep it together. LeBron is a keep it together type of person. You know what I mean? But somebody else do take the lead. D Wade had to take the lead a certain way. You understand what I'm saying? So like, if you pay attention this whole year, they've all taken his personality in some way. They're arguing with the fans. They're getting in fights. They fighting each other. They're all taking his personality. So how is that really supposed to work? Especially if he's not playing with, you know what I mean? They turnovers, not playing defense, missing 3-pointers, all this stuff. So, man, ain't nobody trying to hear that. I'm so tired of, you know what I don't like? I've never in my life seen media. They always start, he's really a nice guy, and then they criticize him, and they not criticize him as much as he deserves to really be criticized. Yeah. Let's be honest. They really not. They really aren't. They should, like anybody else, they will be tearing them up.
You want to know why though? You want to know why though, Maui?
Because they think he goes shoot everybody and commit suicide.
No. It's because I think that here's the issue, man, and I've noticed this with fans too. But he plays hard. And that's the thing. The thing is that, like, I think the media is kind of soft on because he plays hard. And I think fans get angry when you criticize him because he plays hard. And I think that, like, I don't think that he doesn't play hard sometimes because he lollygags back on defense. But the reason why they're not as hard on is because of the way that he plays, and that's the reason why. That's my theory.
He's just aggressive. I don't think he plays. Yes. I think he's just aggressive. There's a difference. Let me be honest with you. You got Marcus Smart and you got Russell Westbrook. Who really is better?
Right now, I would take Marcus Smart now.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. You really pay attention to it. They really pay attention because it's almost the same. They fiery the same and this and that, but one plays defense and shoot better three and shoot better, to be honest with you.
And one
don't turn the ball over.
And he makes winning plays. So he does like a lot of just things that don't show up in the box score as well, too. So
you see what I'm saying? And I really wanted it to work. It would have been a beautiful story. You know what I mean? But it has been bad. And he knows it's been bad. And I think he's, no offense. See, that's what you do. You end up, don't want to be so mean, but I feel like he's kind of conned his way because, he's a walking triple-double, right? He's a walking triple-double.
Yeah.
But then you don't never see the negative stuff.
Nope. But me and Chris have been saying this about Westbrook though for the last 7 years. We've been saying, me and Chris have both, and we, I know people have like told me in groups, "Oh, you're a hater, you hate him." I'm like, no, I don't hate him. Yeah. He does a lot of things well, but man, he makes a lot of I think it's just really weird how Chris Paul has been criticized so much for like having meltdowns in the playoffs, but like people have kind of ignored a lot of the Westbrook meltdowns in the playoffs. And it's just really interesting to me how that's worked. But me and Chris have been saying this about him for the last 7 years.
Yeah. And I think with these comments, it's just one of the things where I think the whole situation, I think, is really compound a lot of stuff. Like I said, I think it's a combination of the meltdown, and then also, I think him being on this team, and I think him really realizing, hey, I'm really not a Laker. Like like Kobe always should say, it takes a special person to play with this Lakers team because you think about it, every game is magnified for him, and because of the simple fact of them losing and what have you. So, like you said, I think it's just like you said, it's just a meltdown because he's had that Westbrook since Oklahoma. Yeah. So it's just one of the things where that's been even when he was was an MVP caliber player that he got that moniker. So I think it just is like you said, it's more so of a meltdown, getting tired of it, and then just being in LA, I think compounds it as well. especially just with this season and just all the everything, the trappings of playing with the Lakers and just the thing about it, and I never understand how people will, especially when in this internet era where, hey, I don't want you to call me that. What you think they're gonna do? You're gonna make it even worse.
Exactly.
And look what ended up happening now. Like his Instagram page is flooded with Westbrook. So, and like you said, and to me, I mean, like you said, I don't necessarily think it's it could be a lot of worse names that they could call you. I mean, it's so many different names that they could called you in a derogatory way. And as far as, and this is just more so, hey, because you shooting bricks, you missing shots versus,
like you snort bricks.
It's not nothing personal, like, oh yeah, you're ugly or you're or whatever. And I'm saying, like, it's nothing really personal. It's more so about his game. So,
And Maui, I have one more thing because you made a really good point. And actually, the Hoopers, when me and Chris did the podcast with the Hoopers, like about a few months ago, I had mentioned this, and I don't think people have really thought about it this way. You look at it. So this is his 14th in 4 years.
Yeah.
So you look at the last 2 years in Oklahoma City, that situation became very toxic. You look at some of the stuff that the players were doing, and then you look at like the whole playoff series with Portland, how Damian Lillard waved goodbye to him. And people were saying, well, why did a lot of the stuff that Russ was doing to Damian Lillard was like borderline disrespectful, but that situation became toxic. You even had Dennis Schrader doing just stupid stuff. That whole situation became toxic. But then the next year when Chris Paul came, it was like a different team. You look at Houston, that situation became toxic. We can't really... Yeah, and he was just there for a year. Then you look at Washington. Well, we really don't know what was going on in Washington last year because it was weird because of the pandemic and everything like that. But you look at this year with LA, this situation is becoming toxic. This was not a toxic situation last year. And it wasn't even the first year LeBron was there when they weren't good and they were losing. The situation wasn't toxic. This situation is toxic. You have LeBron getting into it with fans. You have Ariza getting into it with fans. Yeah, this whole situation is just becoming toxic. Like, and I think that, like, look, man, the common denominator is Russ in all of this. He's the common denominator. When he goes places become toxic.
That's why, well, I hate to say that Jared Dudley was on the bench, but they said he was a good locker room guy, and he was a veteran, and he coach IQ, but he kept the chemistry there. Like last year team wasn't that bad. It just was injuries, and like even LeBron's injury was bad. He got somebody slid up under him. You know what I mean? Like that was a bad injury. But another thing is, two things. First of all, Russ, you need to stop. You wear kilts. Like that's not even, let's say you. So I'm just being honest with you. You already a character where you dress a specific way. They're talking about you for real. So you should be extremely used to that. You know what I mean? And then the other thing is, this is regardless, we having these conversations, all this stuff is entertainment. You understand what I'm saying? You have this a love and hate. Anybody that I always go this. The biggest entertainment business is professional wrestling. So you already know your job is, especially when you're away, is to make the fans dislike you. And the home team is supposed to be the face. They're supposed to like you. So in the end of the day, like LeBron said, first time I went back to Cleveland, I was walking in the tunnel, and he said all these people was booing me, and I saw two fans that had I hate LeBron and blah blah blah. He said they was like, oh my God, can I have your autograph? And he signed their autograph and gave him a hug and picture. They got all this I hate LeBron stuff on their body. He went in the elevator and he was like, that's crazy. So it's just in the deep down, really, it's all entertainment.
Yep. Yeah, It's crazy. But and even he said it a year ago, like, oh, this is just basketball, And now, now it's a different tone because obviously what's going on. So that's another thing too, where you look at it, where he even said it in Washington, hey, it's just basketball. But so fellas, let's put a bow on this week's Couch Coach Live. Final thoughts, social media, and plug away. All right, what you got, JB? Go with you first.
All right, well, man, you're gonna be proud of me. Guess what Jamie got yesterday?
What?
Instagram.
What?
I finally got this. I'm on Instagram now. Yes, I'm on Instagram. Yeah. So you can hit me up on Instagram.
My name is JB Foodie on Instagram. JAMIEB Foodie. So you can hit me up on there. But yeah, man, it was a great show, man. It was nice talking to you again, man. Maui, I hadn't seen you in a while. CP, I hadn't seen you in a while. Jordan, nice meeting you, man. Your smile brightened up my day, man. Good luck to your Broncos this year.
Maui, what you got?
Deshaun Morgan, Facebook, DT Morgan, 78, Instagram. Great show. Again, Jordan, congratulations. You're a big fan, man. You know what I'm saying? And a fan, all the dedication you give to your team, you deserve this. You know what I'm saying? You deserve to be happy. That's great. You give great energy out, come back to you. So you deserve it, man. It's good to have a team go out their way and say, hey, we're going to do this for Jordan. You know what I mean? Now, Chris, I'm just playing. Coach, man, I love you to death, bro. I am so proud of you. And JB, man, I don't know, man. Maybe we need to talk a little bit. I seen you put some stuff about acting and about Morgan Freeman. So maybe time, man, we'll necessarily talk because I think me and you are pretty good movie critics too. But man, great show as usual, man. I love being here.
Yeah.
You
got Jordan.
Of course, you can see me on the NBA carousel on Mondays at 8 Eastern time, doing either the Suns as well as the Denver Nuggets. It just depends with the Nuggets. You can find me on Twitter at SportsScoop1. I have my blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays with podcasts on Fridays at sports-scoop.com. And I just got to say, I'm happy with the Denver Broncos. They actually did something right for once. We got a quarterback. And definitely enjoyed being on the show.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. Yeah.
Hey, future owner AB Antonio Brown and Kanye West coming to you, Broncos.
Now that's going to be interesting.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah. Great show once again, fellas. Bringing the energy on what I thought was going to be somewhat of a. Going into maybe like February, I was thinking this was gonna be like kind of like the slow week. Like, hey, we just probably talk a little stuff, but I didn't think like we had some earth-shattering news in the multitude of ways. Before free agency hits, because we thought next week was gonna be the big week, because obviously it'll be a league new year when we air next week. So I definitely thought that was gonna be when the sparks was gonna fly, or it happened on a weekend, and I think it was gonna happen, 8 days prior to the league new year. Great show. Also just follow social media anyway. You get your platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Couch Coach Live. Check out the podcast anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're there. Also, check out our YouTube page. We got the videos from the combine. So we got we had 5 position groups. So it's about pretty much, we broke them down by divisions. It's pretty much all together, it's 5 videos, probably about altogether maybe about 50 minutes of footage of last week's action. A couple guys that we interviewed last week at the scouting combine. And then also definitely huge shout out to, we got 4 teams in our local area that's battling for a state championship. Huge shout out to John Marshall, Petersburg, Verona, and Highland Springs. Good luck, young men, as you guys head to the Secret Center this week. Let's get some 4 championships in the 804. So definitely huge shout out to those young men. And man, once again, another great show. And we'll catch you guys next week, man. This has been this week's Couch Coach Live, and we're out.
You're welcome.
All right.